Hello guys, it's me. So as you know, I already did a poll on my channel where I asked what exactly the topic for the next video you guys wanted, and I got 2 votes, and we have decided on art. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about my journey through art and how it's been doing with me lately, with all that, and what I plan to do with my art in the future. So basically, I've been doing art for like the past 13 years of my life, and I'm 16 now, going to be 17 by November of this year, so that's exciting. Um, Guys, I'm gonna be a junior. Holy crap! Ooh, I'm just now realizing how old I am. I feel ancient, dude. But yeah, I've been doing this since I was 3 years old, and it all started back when I would always go to my mom's house. We call her Mima, and she would always take me to Family Dollar where we'd, browse around and all that. We'd get candy, specifically Push Pops, because Push Pops are delicious. They're so good. I loved the strawberry Push Pops as a kid, and I still do. They're really good. And basically, uh it all started when I found those like paint books with like the Disney princesses and like Dora the Explorer and all that stuff, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And I painted them. It was really poorly painted, but I painted them nonetheless. And that's kind of how I got into art, is through like looking at coloring books and all that stuff. And my grandma even had a couple coloring books of her own that I looked through as well. And I was like, wow, this stuff looks really cool. What if I picked up a pencil and drew my own stuff? Well, I picked up a marker and drew my own stuff because at first I drew my stuff in marker and it looked really sloppy, but it was art, It was a journey and I went through a lot of different phases. One phase that I remember very, very well was what me and my friend, who I'll call Gigi, uh, you know, make fun of the most, and we called it Squarehead Cindy, because these animals had like a really really big, like, square like or rectangular heads with like really tiny ears and these big old bug eyes, and then these really tiny bodies. And I remember like a lot of them were named Lily too, so my friend would make fun of me for that. She'd be like, damn, was the only name you knew back then Lily? And I was like, no. But that was just because I didn't have like a name generator, and also I was really young, and I didn't know many names at the time, so I just went with Lily for the main one. And yeah, it was really really funny that phase. And I think the main thing, aside from the coloring books, that got me into art was watching people play Five Nights at Freddy's. Like when the game first came out, I remember watching Markiplier and Jacksepticeye play it, and I was like, wow, these animatronics, they're really creepy, but they're really cool looking. So why don't I draw them? And that's exactly what I did. I Google search like a lot of different images of Five Nights at Freddy's characters and all that stuff, and then I draw them to the best of my ability. They didn't look great, but I tried. And I remember like when Sister Location came out, I was obsessed with those designs. Those designs were my favorite designs of all. And I even remember that one like animated, ooh, sorry, I hiccups. Um that one animated series on YouTube where it was like Chica and Foxy are in a relationship or whatever, and then like Mangle, like, I guess like ruins it, I guess, to some degree. And then Chica's like, oh hell no. And then she gets a freaking machete and like cuts up Mangle and turns Mangle into Mangle, Like that. That show, that little mini series, I really loved that. And that's kind of like also like part of the inspiration. Like I remember drawing a picture from that as well at some point. It did not look great. Obviously not. I was like 5 years old, I'm pretty sure. Because I was. Yeah, I was around like 5 or 6 years old when that happened. So, yeah. But since all of that, like, I've grown as an artist, like, I'm gonna put up some examples and all that, like, on screen. Like, I remember the main one was this picture of Pain from Hercules, the Disney movie Hercules. And then, that was like, to this day, I think like 3, 4 years ago. And then the recent one, which was like 2-ish years ago, I think, maybe. Um, like side by side, they look very, very different, as you can tell. Like I had a lot of growth go on in between those 2 years labeled on the drawings. Like it was a while, and I'm pretty sure on that first pain drawing, I had a lot of like pencil markings on the top of the drawing because I'm pretty sure I did color testing on the page that I was drawing the character on, which eventually I did learn that the best way to handle that is to get a blank piece of paper or a piece of paper that's ruined by marker or it's just like a really messed up drawing in your opinion. You take that paper and then you color test on that paper instead. Like that just makes more sense. So then I was like, huh, okay, so that's how we do it. I'm thinking with my big brain. um but yeah, that growth, definitely, I'm glad that it happened because, oh my lord. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 13 years. I'm well over experienced with drawing and art and all that stuff, and I'm sure there's like several other techniques that I probably need to learn and all that stuff. And hopefully, if I get into a good art school, I'll be able to learn all those techniques fast, hopefully. Like, the main technique that I really like to use, especially with like all my scary drawings and all that stuff, like horror stuff, I like to do charcoal because I have this little tin thing of charcoal pencils that my mom got me. It was either for my birthday or just like a random little thing. And um I really loved using those things. Problem is that they get everywhere. Even on papers you're not even touching. Like you barely touch the paper with your finger and it has not even just a little tiny speckle of charcoal on it and it gets all over the place. Like that stuff's really only good for like if you're okay with the mess, cuz you're trying to shade what you're drawing and all that stuff, which I'm okay with it most of the time because obviously like I know when to use it, when not to use it. It's really messy. It gets all over your hands. And I remember one time I was drawing in charcoal, like pretty much for a full day. And then by the time I got home from school, my hands were still covered in charcoal. And I remember like sanitizing my hands, washing them, all that. And my hands were still covered in charcoal. And it stayed like that for like almost like 2 days. So they're really messy, but the final result of those kind of drawings are incredible. Like, just wonderful pieces of art. And yeah, like, that was also like another tiny little phase. Sometimes I dabble in charcoal every now and then, but not as much as I used to, because now I know how messy it is, how messy of a medium it is. But, um, it was something, and it's still a tool that I have. I have some even more charcoal stuff from my grandparents in my closet as well. Um I actually have a lot of stuff in my closet from my grandparents. My grandparents, um like both my mom's side and my dad's side, really like to get me stuff for art because they know I've been doing it for a long time. Like this one time, for my birthday, my grandparents on my dad's side, they got me like 10 different sketchbooks, each in varying sizes. One of them is like this gigantic, like poster size sketchbook, and I'm like, wow. Which I'm glad they did get me that because I used that paper to make an Aphrodite poster for whatchamacall. It was like homecoming in my high school, and I was in my Gay Straight Alliance club, so we did all those like fun little posters and stuff like that. I did my Aphrodite poster at home though, because as much as I like art, I don't necessarily like doing it in public very often. Like, I don't know why. I guess it's just like I'm really nervous to do it like around people that I don't know. But like if I'm sitting with a bunch of friends and all that stuff in a public space, yeah, sure, I'll draw. But any other time, I just get really nervous and I don't draw too often. But, I'm glad like I'm starting to like slowly like, draw more like around like people I don't know and more public spaces and all that stuff cuz like, I like drawing and all that stuff and I don't want like my fear of like someone either like it's not even like a fear of like if someone's going to like bitch on me for it or anything like that or it's just like in general I'm scared that someone's going to come up to me and just say something either it's going to be like a compliment or just like criticism whatever it might be. I I'm just a really nervous person when it comes to stuff like that, because I don't know what people are going to say. And like a perfect example of this is I was drawing Bon from the Walton Files and if you know the Walton Files, dope. Let's be friends because that little series is amazing. I love that so much and it also kind of inspired me with some of my art as well. And yeah, that was what I was drawing. I was drawing Bon with charcoal and all that stuff because charcoal. Um and some girl came up to me. I was in my history class and she wasn't necessarily in our class, but our teacher really liked to let people in that she knew and all that stuff. To let them hang around for a little bit, like during lunch and all that stuff. So this girl comes in and she sees what I'm drawing and she's like, "Wow, that looks really cool. Can you draw me?" And I'm like, "Oh." Like I got really nervous because like that's happened so many times where people notice that like I'm good at drawing and then they're like, "Hey, can you draw me?" And I'm like, maybe because I'm just like ugh. But then like right after that I'm pretty sure she did come back a couple times but she never really talked to me again and I was like okay. um but yeah that was yeah. But I am very glad that I'm very like artistic and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's really bad for me because um on my mom's side of the family, most if not all females in our family are born with some kind of condition, whether it's skin or arthritis and all that stuff. Cuz both me and my mom have really sensitive skin, so like if we stay out in the sun for even just like a moment longer than we're supposed to, we could get like a really bad sunburn. And also I have arthritis in the entire right side of my body. Like I'm talking my ankle, my knee, my hip, my shoulder, my wrist, and I also have scoliosis from my dad's mom as well. So that's fun. So that does kind of hinder like some parts of my life, specifically as because my right hand is my dominant hand. So because of the arthritis being in my right hand, it really sucks because then some days I can't draw because sometimes my wrist feels really bad and I just can't do it. And also lately, I'm a growing teen, so hormonal stuff happens as well, and then I get really tired, so I don't want to do anything. So sometimes I end up taking prolonged breaks from art that I don't want to take. And so it takes me really long to get back in the feel with art and like how it all works sometimes, and that just really sucks for me, you know. Cuz like I said, I've been doing this for a long time and sometimes when I don't draw for a while too, sometimes my parents get worried cuz they're like, "You've been drawing for so long, you draw almost every day. Why are you stopping drawing?" and all that stuff. And I'm like, "I just don't feel like drawing right now." And I get their concern, cuz sometimes they're just like, "Hey, our daughter isn't like, you know, doing her usual stuff. Why is she acting so strange?" And all that. But, you know, it's it happens sometimes, life happens, things happen, and, you can't do what you love every day, but, that's okay. Sometimes I try and make time for it. Like recently, for Father's Day, I drew my dad, Wile E. Coyote, and Roadrunner, and I did like two different things because I forgot to make him a birthday drawing, which really sucked because I was like, I want to draw him Wile E. Coyote for his birthday, and I forgot to do that because, you know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was last week, and we were getting done with like CAs and all of that stuff in our school, and I turned in my Chromebook at the worst time because my history teacher had a CA for us and I didn't know. So I turned in my Chromebook thinking full well that I was done with my CAs. And then I come back in the classroom and she's like, "Yeah, we have a CA." And I'm like, "I just turned in my Chromebook." And then she's like, "Oh, well, that's fine. I'll give you 100 for it." And I'm like, "What?" Like, my history teacher was goated this year. Goated. Um, but yeah, I I did that for my dad. He was really happy with it, and I was happy with it too. But thing is, the paper that I used for it was really sandpaper like, and if you're an artist, you know what that means. It's really easy to smear stuff, specifically like pencil lead and all that stuff. Like it gets everywhere. Everywhere with those kind of papers, like textures in that paper. Like it's not the best. Like I know some sketchbooks are like meant for that because like you're meant to shade with the pencil, obviously, because that's what some people like to do. They like to shade the pencil and the charcoal and all that stuff. So that's what those sketchbooks are made for. It's just sometimes that kind of sucks because I have a lot of sketchbooks that are like that, but lately I haven't necessarily been drawing in like charcoal too much. I mean, I made two drawings recently with charcoal, but not many before that or recently or anything like that. So, you know, it sucks that like half my sketchbooks are like that. So, yeah, but hmm, that's pretty much it, I'm sure. I mean, um right, shoot, I almost forgot. Um whatchamacall. I have recently, if you see my posts, I have been drawing Pokemon a lot lately, and that's because me and my mom's finally getting back into Pokemon. Like, back in like 1995, that was her kind of stuff. She loved Pokemon cards, and I remember like, back when I started collecting Pokemon cards, and I like hoarded a lot. I had a lot of Pokemon cards, so I'd give my mom like all my duplicates and stuff. And then eventually, like recently, she's been getting back into collecting Pokemon cards and all that. Mainly like all the cute ones, because, she likes the cute ones. Some of her favorites are Clefable, Audino, and Esper. She really likes those. Those are her favorites. Um, but yeah, so because of that, we've been going to a lot of card shows lately. And, at these card shows, it's not just Pokemon, there's also like One Piece, Magic the Gathering. I'm pretty sure that one like Disney trading card game as well, even though I haven't really seen many vendors doing that, but I'm sure it's still there. Um, so there's been those going on, and then I noticed that there are some stands where there's people who have like keychains that were like handmade, magnets that were handmade, and I'm like, wow, okay, so you don't have to sell just Pokemon cards here. And then I was like, what if I started drawing Pokemon? So now me and my mom have an idea where we're going to set up an Instagram for me so we can like post the art day there and let people see what I'm doing, what I'm cooking, and all that good stuff. So, yay. And then we plan on also trying to find a local printer so that they can, sort of, I guess, like mass produce the art in some sort of way and all that, so that way I can take them to shows and all that stuff. Because, like, the main requirement for those kind of shows is obviously you have to have money because you have to pay to get a vendor. And then you also have to have an Insta or like PayPal, Venmo, something like that. You have to have all that stuff. ready and all that. And obviously, you know, print out some QR codes and all that so people can be able to visit those sites so they can pay you, so they can look at your stuff and all that. Um, so yeah, that's what I plan on doing for the future. Hopefully this summer sometime I can take what I have to a card show because I have quite a couple drawings, quite a couple. And I really want to get them out there so that way people can enjoy my art because I don't really care about like the money or anything like that. What I care about is making people happy with my art and being able to share that with people, you know? Like I just like sharing things with people, you know? But yeah, so that's really about it. That's really all I wanted to talk about today. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Bye.